I'm sure you've heard the news. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have hit rock bottom in the popularity stakes. Let's find out why.
On the charges of racism against the royal family coming from Meghan and Harry, they're absolutely outrageous. Meghan and Harry went down this very destructive path, really, of narcissism and outright hatred towards the royal family.
Now, it's been 7 years since Meghan and Harry were married. Now, that moment, that wedding day, was quite a positive day. I think they got a lot of positive press. People were quite excited. What do you think has changed since then?
I have to say that there was a great deal of goodwill towards Harry and Meghan when they were first married on both sides of the Atlantic. And I think that that goodwill, much of it has evaporated today following the relentless attacks on the royal family made by both Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And so I think you've seen really the huge, immense decline of Harry and Meghan over the last 7 years, and the tremendous rise in their unpopularity on both sides of the Atlantic. So I think in many ways it's a tragic story of decline, frankly, for both of them.
Now, they claim that the press has always been out to get them. There's sort of undertones of racism and things like that. Do you think that this was inevitable, that this falling out was going to happen? Could they have stayed in the royal family? Could there have been a different path?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And on the charges of racism against the royal family coming from Meghan and Harry, they're absolutely outrageous.
Remember their fairy tale wedding? Millions tuned in, hearts were full, and it felt like the monarchy was getting a modern makeover. But then came the Oprah interview. Explosive accusations of racism and betrayal left the world stunned.
And there's absolutely no substance or fact or reality in relation to those claims. And I think the claims of racism against the royal family are malicious and extremely nasty and designed, of course, to undermine the royal family. And I think that Meghan and Harry went down this very destructive path, really, and a path of narcissism and outright hatred towards the royal family. And they are the architects of their own downfall in so many respects. Of course, this all could have been avoided. And clearly, I think that both of them have some kind of vendetta against the royal family, which is hugely unfortunate, but also, of course, immensely destructive on their part. And I think that they have only themselves to blame for the state that they're in today. Two of the most, I think, unpopular celebrity figures in the world today, as a result of their actions, really, and the attacks leveled against the royal family, for example, in the Oprah Winfrey interview and in Harry's book Spare, are absolutely appalling. They're vindictive and incredibly nasty attacks.
Now, they moved to the United States a few years ago. They moved to California. What do you think the American view of Meghan and Harry is?
I would say it's overwhelmingly negative, and I think they are viewed as spoilt celebrities, really, who really just care about themselves. And I think also, increasingly they become viewed as political figures in the United States. And I think that there's no doubt about it that Harry and Meghan have significantly risen in unpopularity in the United States over the course of the last few years. They are massively unpopular in the United Kingdom, and I think they're increasingly disliked here in the United States. And I think that in many respects that they're really out of touch with ordinary American people. They live a life of immense tremendous privilege, basically in Montecito in California, living in a mansion, and they don't really understand at all, I think, the concerns of ordinary American people. So I think they're very much viewed as out of touch, aristocratic style liberal elites, really. And I think that's the trajectory they themselves have chosen. And there's no sense, I think, in any way of service to the British monarchy, to the royal family. In fact, their whole approach, of course, has been to attack the royal family, to undermine the monarchy. Even though in America, of course, the British royal family is very, very popular. The Queen was a hugely popular figure among the American people, and opinion polls showed consistently by Gallup that the Queen was a massively well-liked figure by the American people. Far more popular, I think.
Some called it bravery, but many felt deeply betrayed. Political analyst Niall Gardner says they're deeply hated both in the UK and the US. Their Spotify deal, gone. Hollywood friends, distancing themselves.
Than Barack Obama when he was Prime Minister. I think the Queen had an approval rating over 70%, in contrast to the then President, who was, I think, trailing at around 50%. So, the American people really do love the royal family. They love the British monarchy, and Harry and Meghan clearly are on this nasty campaign to attack the royal family. That doesn't go down very well, I think, with the American people.
Now, you're at the Heritage Foundation, and I know that you've been part of this campaign to potentially revoke Prince Harry's visa to the United States. Can you give us, first of all, an explanation as to what's going on there, but also an update to the latest goings-on?
Well, the Heritage Foundation, of course, made a request for the release of Prince Harry's immigration records, and the Heritage Foundation sued the Department of Homeland Security for the release of those records. We haven't yet seen the release of the records. We have seen, in redacted form, some of the documents in relation to the court case, but we have not seen the release of Prince Harry's immigration records. We continue to make the case for the release of those records. It's my view that ultimately the Trump administration will release Prince Harry's immigration records. It's just a matter of time, and we think there's a clear public interest in the release of those records. After all, Prince Harry admitted to widespread and extensive illegal drug use in his book Spare, and we want to know whether or not he was honest and truthful on his immigration application. And if Harry lied on his immigration application, that would be a federal criminal offence, and he would face potentially several years in jail or deportation from the United States. And so the stakes are very, very high. And all we're doing here is we're asking for transparency and accountability. The Heritage Foundation has for many years been the leading US think tank calling for the strong and forceful application of US immigration law. And we are saying that Harry should not be treated in any way differently to anybody else who applies to live in the United States. Did he receive preferential treatment? And did he lie on his application? And the release of Prince Harry's immigration records will establish whether he was honest and truthful, and whether or not he received some kind of preferential treatment over his drug use. But we think this is an important matter of public interest, and we take the view that there is a very strong possibility that Harry's immigration records will be released over the course of the Trump presidency, and we think there's a clear public interest in the release of those records.
Meghan and Harry have continued to release a series of public programs, interviews. You mentioned Harry's book, despite their plea for privacy. What do you make about Meghan Markle's recent Netflix program, which was some kind of tutorial on how to do cooking and things like that? Did you watch that? Can you comment on that?
Yes, I did. I did actually watch it, or rather suffer through it, I should say, actually. I think that it was a huge exercise in vanity and narcissism, and I think it's an illustration of just how out of touch, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are with the American people. I think the Netflix show was an exercise in television torture, really.
So, what went wrong? Harry's attempts at reconciliation with King Charles are seen as too little, too late. Gardner believes without a full public apology, there's no going back. Harry and Meghan had a golden chance to modernise the monarchy. Instead, they chose controversy and headlines. And now, they're paying the price with their reputations.
It's unfortunate that millions of American people had to suffer through it by actually watching it. And I think that, their lives have become, I think, a sort of sad reality show. And that's how they live their lives on, reality TV shows on Netflix. And you contrast the huge selfishness and vanity and narcissism of Harry and Meghan with the selflessness and sense of public service of the Prince and Princess of Wales, with William and Catherine living lives of tremendous service to the British people, to the Crown. You compare that with the huge sense of entitlement and narcissism that surrounds Harry and Meghan, it's in a way it's a damning indictment really of the Harry and Meghan approach. I mean, they live their lives for themselves and for their own personal enrichment, really. Whereas, of course, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, really live a life of service and dedication. There's a huge contrast between the two. And I mean, no doubt today that the Queen would be hugely proud, I think, of the Prince and Princess of Wales, and greatly saddened, frankly, by the stunning decline of Harry and Meghan.
And finally, what do you make of Prince Harry's recent attempt to reconcile with his family, and particularly with his father, the King? He gave an interview to BBC News in which he claimed that the King will not speak to him.
Well, I'm not surprised the King doesn't speak to Prince Harry, because Harry seems to be so full of hatred towards the royal family. And all of this talk from Harry about some kind of reconciliation is completely unrealistic unless Harry is going to make some kind of big apology to the royal family and Meghan as well for all of the lies and the hate that they have thrown against the royal family. There's no sign whatsoever of any sense of contrition on the part of Prince Harry or Meghan Markle. They are incredibly arrogant individuals, and I think that they should be apologising to the royal family and asking for forgiveness, and apologising to the British people for their behaviour and conduct. But they're not. There's no humility whatsoever, and so I think the King is absolutely right not to be talking to Prince Harry. I mean, he's behaving like a spoilt brat, and he has cut himself off from his own family, and he's made allegations against his own family that are absolutely horrible. The allegations of racism and so on, and I think that this is all really nasty stuff, and the King has every right to be isolating Prince Harry, and I think clearly that's a position that is hugely supported by the British public, and the latest opinion polls illustrate just how massively unpopular Harry and Meghan are, and they are two of the most unpopular royals, I think, in British history, really, and that's quite an achievement on their part, and they have disgraced the royal family in many respects, and I don't think there's any path back, frankly, to some kind of reconciliation with the royal family. And I do think it's their behaviour is it's outrageous, appalling, and it's very sad as well with Harry and Meghan, how they have approached their relationship with the royal family. Extremely disrespectful, and also disrespectful towards the British people as well. So it's very sad to see all this, and they live in isolation because they have chosen that path in life, and it's a very destructive path that they have chosen. I don't think there's any way back for them, really.
What do you think? Is the backlash justified? Comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow royal drama enthusiasts. Thanks for watching.